the story is not about me working as a consultant. This story is about me actually working as a cook. But a couple of years ago, and I was working as a cook at this like trendy brunch place. So like to give you an idea, it was like American themed. Like they would play like 90s hip hop, and they would serve chicken and waffles, and they would charge you like €14 for a bowl of muesli. I can tell that some people might recognize this place. And in this kitchen, actually, we were only two people. There was me, and then there was my colleague, who had decided that after training me, she was going to be less of like a coworker to me and more of a supervisor. So what this means is that one of us had to kind of do all of the morning prep, and the other one got to sit at the bar and complain about her hangover. And this was a bit of a weird dynamic. So in the early days, I would come up to her and I'd be like, "Hey, like, can you come help? Like, can you come help out in the kitchen a little bit? Because like we've got all this work to do." And then her response, arms crossed, she would say, "If you need help, then I guess you aren't tough enough to work here, are you?" You know, it's the old, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. And I would take this because, like, you know, this is like a new job for me, so I still want to prove myself. The other side of me as well is like, I don't want to waste time arguing when I've got all this prep to do that I have to now do by myself. And then the third thing is like, when I worked as a cook, I never wanted to be that Gordon Ramsay style of cook. Like I didn't want to have to like kick and curse and scream and tell people off. Like to me, being a cook was just get the job done. But then there was this one day. This one day when the sun was burning so bright in the sky, and there wasn't a single cloud to be seen, and there was just this really nice summer's breeze coming through. And I know some of you are thinking, like, that sounds earlier this week. Like, that sounds like heaven, like, let's go back. But guys, I'm a brunch cook. I work at a restaurant with an extended patio section. Like, you might call this heaven, but for me, that's hell. That is hell for a cook. But I tried, you know what I mean? I tried. My colleague's at the bar, having an espresso, complaining about her hangover. I'm in the kitchen, and I'm whipping up waffle batter, you know? And I've got bacon burning behind me, and I've got, I'm blanching stuff on the fly, so I have this bowl of ice water beside the stove, and on the other side of the stove, I'm doing like a berry compote, and I've got all these things going on, but then I run out of time. The orders start coming in. And it comes in like chit, 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 chit. And this is a trendy brunch place, so we're serving like these yuppie millennial types who need a modification on every single order. You know? Hold the butter, vegan, gluten-free, everything, every single order. And I'm now trying to do all of this prep. I have all these things on the go, but I also now have to play like an Eggs Benedict and an English breakfast. And let me tell you, there's a term in the kitchen. It's called shitting the bed. This is when things go so bad that it's like you've woken up and there's shit in your bed. But for me, that was not the case. I set the bed on fire. Like literally, like there is carbon black smoke wafting up behind me out into the floor so I can hear that the customers are coughing. And that water that I had beside the stove, it's fallen. It has fallen and there is water everywhere. And let me tell you that waffle batter, the one thing I thought I could do, it was a little thin, so my waffles are coming out like melted plastic frisbees. It's not going great, and still the orders are coming in, and still I'm just moving around, and this is when my colleague finally takes notice. This is my colleague is like, oh shit. So what do you think she does? Like you would think she comes into the kitchen to help me, right? No, you're absolutely right. She came into the kitchen to yell at me. So now I've got something on fire behind me. I've got a waffle iron that is just beyond fucked. And I have this improvised slip and slide situation from one station to the next. And the orders are coming in, and now I have this woman yelling in my ear. And at this point, it doesn't matter. I'm just able to block it all out because I'm in such a state of panic that my mind just becomes like a computer. I'm just going through a list of designated tasks, and I'm just working through the orders, and I'm trying to do my best, and I'm moving at like hummingbird speed with octopus arms. And I feel a bit of oneness with the world. Like when you reach such a level of panic that you're just like, it can't get any worse than this. This is the absolute worst. Then my boss shows up, which is to say my actual boss, not just the woman who was bossing me around. This was the head honcho who's like responsible for my paycheck. He walks in, and let me tell you about him. He's a tall guy. He's taller than me. And he has 3 settings, okay? Count them. First one, yelling but encouraging, you know? The second one, just a general state of anger. But then the third one, which I discovered that day, was like a silent but searing rage that was only told. It was only told through the expression in his eyes. And then he just kind of looks at me and looks directly at me as I'm sitting with water on the ground and a waffle iron on smoke and bacon burning. He says, "What have you done to my kitchen?" At this moment, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And I can hear this thought in the back of my head. It's saying, go, 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 you have to go. But I can't. And I'm looking at these orders, and nothing makes sense anymore. My vision, it flattens. And I might as well be reading something like hieroglyphics. I'm stiff. I'm paralyzed. And I'm stiff even as I feel my boss grab me by the collar of my uniform and drag me across the kitchen. And I'm still stiff as he opens up the storage room door and throws me in. And I only unstiffen once that door is closed. Now let me tell you about the storage room. There's, in the middle, there is this pile of potato sacks, and they're kind of like assembled into a pyramid. That's where I fell. I fell, and I just cried. I know, but it was on a sack of potatoes. I just cried. And I cried for like 3 hours until my boss finally came to check up on me. And by this stage, I had taken off of my uniform. And I was holding it in front of me, being like, take this burden away. I can't handle it anymore. You know, I wasn't going to ask for forgiveness. I wasn't even going to make excuses. I was just going to say to my boss, like, this is it. I'm done. So my boss says, why? Why, Phil? Why do you let her push you around like that? Why don't you just toughen up? Why don't you just stand up for yourself? Like, come on, be a man. Don't let a woman push you around like that. You know, he wasn't going to fire me. He wasn't going to let me quit. He just had some simple advice for me. And so I took it. And I drilled down. I drilled past this safe Canadian layer that I've been standing on. And I found, like a person drilling oil, that there's this well of sassy gay bitch energy just waiting to be unleashed. So I did that. I took all of this repressed gay energy and I put it onto my colleague. So now in the kitchen, when she called me worthless because I fucked up, I called her worthless because she fucked up. And then it escalated. Then she would call me like, you're a limp dick piece of shit. So I'd say, okay, well you're a fat cow and I find you a bit of a bitch. And it would continue. And at some stage, like I'm like, okay, maybe I need to dial it back because I'm being a bit unfair. But the crazy thing is she started to like me more for it. So now she's like inviting me for after work drinks, even though like I'm legitimately making comments on her weight. Which you don't do, by the way, if that's not clear. And the other thing as well is so we're like becoming like frenemies in the kitchen, right? Like we're actually like starting to get along. Like I don't like her, but at least we can work together. And in the kitchen as well, like I started to really, really earn my place. I started becoming a master of my space. Like when a server came to me and they served me like a list of 10 modifications on an item that has like, an order that has like 1 item, I would send it back. Like, no, like 10 modifications, just order something else. And I would go toe-to-toe with the servers, and we would fight, and there'd be altercations, but at least now, I was standing up for myself. And you know what? I became the master of this kitchen up until one point. And it's when I yelled at a server, but I didn't just yell at the server, I said something that doesn't bear worth repeating, because my mom heard it, she would disown me. But if you need to know, it was a long stream of words, a long stream of not so nice words, and when they were strung together, it was enough for the expression to fall off of her face. And when I saw that, I thought, I need to apologize. This doesn't feel right. But by that point, it was already too late. Because she had run to the bathroom to cry. Suddenly, I didn't feel like a master of my kitchen. I didn't feel so tough. Or maybe I did feel tough, but not in the way that I would ever want to. So after that incident, I decided this is going to be my last job, working in a kitchen forever. I only lasted in that kitchen a couple of months before I decided I'm actually going to hand over my uniform for real this time. Because maybe my colleague was right. Maybe I don't have what it takes to work in a kitchen. But why would I want to? Why would anyone want to after me telling you this story? Because if you're asking me to choose between toughness and kindness, it's not an easy choice for me to make. Because who says toughness is about putting people in their place, making them feel so worthless that they have to go cry on a sack of potatoes or in the bathroom? For me, toughness is staying kind. Even when the kitchen is burning behind you, even when you've had the worst fucking day of your life, even when you shit the bed so bad that there's no coming back from this, if you can stay kind, you're tough. So let's change that last little equation. Let's make it something else. Let's make it, if I had to choose between hardening myself, between the fire and the sweat and the tears of working in a kitchen, or staying vulnerable and staying to the feelings that are close to my chest, I'm going to choose that which makes me feel more human. I'm going to choose kindness.